Have you ever felt trapped in a relationship that slowly drains your peace, your confidence, and your sense of who you truly are? What if the most harmful person in your life isn't a stranger, but someone close, a friend, a partner, even a family member? And what if the most radical act of self-respect isn't confrontation, but walking away entirely, without guilt? Relationships can either be the soil that nurtures us or the storm that erodes everything we've built inside. Many of us stay too long in relationships that wear us down, out of obligation, fear, or the hope that things will change. But sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for your soul is to say goodbye. Today's video will reveal 9 powerful signs that it's time to cut ties completely, even with someone you once considered family. If you've ever felt judged, manipulated, or like you're only loved when you perform, this isn't just a video. It's your moment of clarity. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Remember, boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. Let's begin. Sign 1. Avoid people who don't spend money. Have you ever met someone who always talks about not having money, yet somehow always has enough to spend on what they want? It's one thing to truly struggle financially, but it's another to use that excuse selectively, especially when it comes to investing in the relationship. These individuals often live comfortably, indulging in personal pleasures, travel, and luxuries. But when it's time to contribute, support, or show up for you, they suddenly become financially constrained. I had a friend like that. Every time we planned an outing or trip, he'd come up with an excuse. Money's tight right now. Yet, online he posted fancy meals, shopping sprees, and exclusive event tickets. It hit me one day, not that he lacked money, but that he lacked respect for my time and effort. In a healthy relationship, mutual effort is key. Sharing resources, time, and energy should never feel one-sided. If you find yourself always giving while the other party withholds, it's a clear sign of imbalance. Real relationships are about shared value, not hidden agendas. If someone treats you like a convenience rather than a connection, it's time to evaluate the cost and set a boundary. Sign 2. Avoid people who constantly quarrel or stir drama. Ever met someone who seems to thrive on conflict? Conversations quickly turn to arguments, minor issues erupt into major fights, and before you know it, you're stuck in their emotional whirlwind. These individuals are masters at twisting situations. They create division, demand allegiance, and force you to choose sides. It's exhausting. I remember a friend like this, confident on the outside, but always ready to explode. During one group gathering, a small disagreement about travel plans turned into a full-blown confrontation. He pulled me in, demanding I back him publicly. That moment shattered our friendship. I realized then, true peace isn't just the absence of conflict. It's the refusal to be pulled into someone else's storm. Arguing constantly doesn't make someone intelligent or passionate. It reveals emotional instability and deep insecurity. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in self-control, in the ability to remain calm amid chaos. When someone threatens your peace repeatedly, it's not just disruptive, it's dangerous. Choose peace. Choose people who bring calm, not chaos. The third sign we'll explore is even more subtle. It's the kind of manipulation that disguises itself as care. Let's move forward. Previously, we explored how arguments and imbalanced effort can slowly poison a relationship. Now we go even deeper, into the subtle dismissals, the passive dismissals of pain, the erosion of empathy. This page unpacks the next set of toxic behaviors that call for distance, not duty. Let's continue the journey to reclaiming your peace. Avoid people who take other people's worries. Lightly in life, harmonious connections and a tranquil mind are treasures worth more than gold. Yet one of the most painful experiences is opening up about your struggles, only to be met with someone who instantly compares, minimizes, or outright dismisses what you're going through. Each of us carries our own burdens. No two are the same. And what's heavy for you may be invisible to someone else, but that does not make your pain any less real. I remember once confiding in a close friend about the toll of balancing work and caregiving for my aging parents. Rather than empathize, he brushed aside my words and launched into his own work complaints as if I hadn't spoken at all. That interaction didn't just disappoint me, it stung. It made me realize how critical it is to surround ourselves with those who truly listen, not just wait to speak. Genuine connection comes not from grand gestures but from small, meaningful acts of empathy, saying thank you when helped, I'm sorry when you're wrong, and I'm here when someone is hurting. People who lack gratitude, who find joy in your setbacks or apathy in your pain, drain not just your time but your spirit. Choose those who meet your vulnerability with grace, not judgment. 4. Avoid anyone who forces their religious or political beliefs. Diversity in thought and belief is the cornerstone of meaningful human connection. When someone insists that their way is the only way, whether in religion, politics, or lifestyle, they replace mutual respect with superiority. I once had a dear friend who constantly preached his ideals to me. What began as conversations soon became battles of belief. Every call, every meeting was another attempt to fix me. Eventually, I realized I wasn't growing, I was enduring. Stoicism teaches that it's not about being right, it's about being wise. Arguments that feed egos create more heat than light. A win in debate is often a loss in relationship. True strength lies in restraint, in the ability to listen, understand, and let go of the need to always correct. So if someone makes you feel like you're always under spiritual or ideological siege, pause. Protect your peace. Because in the end, peace isn't found in victory. It's found in mutual understanding. Avoid those who distress you. Think of a person who used to make you smile. Now, when you see them, your chest tightens. The laughter has faded, the connection strained. Sometimes we outgrow people, and that's okay. Life is fluid. We change, and our needs evolve. Feeling dread or anxiety before seeing someone isn't a signal to push harder. It's often a sign to step back. If their presence now brings more unease than ease, trust that instinct. Respect the chapter you had, but don't force a new one that no longer fits. We've seen how a lack of empathy, constant ideological tension, and emotional discomfort signal deeper issues. In the next part, we'll dive into more signs, subtler yet equally damaging, that show when a relationship has run its course. Let's keep going. Some relationships don't collapse overnight. They quietly dissolve over time, fading not with drama but with distance. I recall a story from a colleague of mine. He shared about a childhood friend, someone he'd once spent every summer day with, going to the movies, playing soccer, dreaming about who they'd grow up to be. Their bond was inseparable until life gradually took them in opposite directions. One moved to a new city, built a career, started a family. The other remained in their hometown, embracing a simpler life. Years later, when they reconnected, something felt off. The laughter was polite, the conversations strained, and the once effortless connection felt forced. My colleague admitted he tried, really tried, to reignite the friendship. But the harder he tried, the clearer it became. They had simply grown too far apart. Eventually he stepped back, not because he loved his friend any less, but because he realized sometimes letting go is how we respect both what once was and what now is. Relationships are like dances. Both people need to move in rhythm. When the rhythm is gone, the dance becomes exhausting. Rather than forcing the steps, sometimes it's wiser to step away. That doesn't mean erasing someone from your life. It means making space for both of you to grow in your own ways. It means understanding that a gentle goodbye can honor the past better than a strained present. Letting go isn't failure, it's wisdom. Sign 6. Avoid those who use you as their emotional dumping ground. Have you ever felt like someone only comes to you to complain, to vent, to unload, and never once pauses to ask, "How are you?" It feels like being emotionally ambushed, like being a bin for someone else's pain. Sure, everyone needs to share sometimes, that's human, but when the sharing is one-sided, when your exhaustion is met with more complaints, it stops being empathy. It becomes exploitation. A friend of mine, Sarah, was that person. At a time when my mother was critically ill and I was emotionally spent, she still came to me daily, but not to support me. No, she came to vent, about her boss, about her husband, about how she hated her job. I tried gently to shift the conversation, to share my worries. She changed the subject, again and again. It all came to a head when, after my mother's surgery, she messaged me, upset that I hadn't replied fast enough. That was the moment I knew I needed space. I told her, "Sarah, I just can't do this anymore." She didn't respond. Eventually, she faded from my life. It was painful but freeing. You're not required to be anyone's emotional garbage can. Healthy relationships are mutual. Empathy should go both ways. So ask yourself, are they truly seeking support, or just using you to drain their pain? Set boundaries. Conserve your energy. Listen with love, but also with limits. Sign 7. Avoid those who break promises like they're nothing. There's something deeply wounding about waiting for someone who doesn't show up, not just physically, but emotionally. And worse, they don't even remember they promised anything at all. A promise is more than words. It's a thread of trust. And when it's snapped repeatedly, it doesn't just disappoint you, it erodes your self-worth. I remember waiting at a coffee shop for a friend. We'd made plans clear and confirmed. An hour passed. Finally a message. Totally forgot, sorry. It wasn't the first time, it wouldn't be the last. That day I realized I was allowing myself to be sidelined. And it wasn't about malice. It was about neglect, indifference. And that can be just as hurtful. A person who values you doesn't forget you. Respecting yourself sometimes means walking away from people who no longer walk beside you. Relationships should be rooted in reliability, not riddled with apologies. Listen to your own heart. It always knows when it's being neglected. So far, we've uncovered the subtle signs that erode your peace, from emotional dumping to broken promises. But next we'll uncover something even deeper. When people disguise manipulation as care. So it's time to expose that mask. Every time you say no to those who don't respect you, you're not just protecting yourself, you're clearing the path for better people to enter your life. Each boundary you set is a quiet affirmation. You are worthy of both love and respect, not just in words but in how you're treated. 8th, avoid people who keep talking about the same worries. Have you ever felt that when someone repeatedly shares their worries with you, they're not truly seeking a solution, but simply searching for temporary comfort? While it's perfectly human to vent, there's a fine line between emotional release and emotional stagnation. Some people don't want to change their circumstances. They only want to be heard, again and again and again. I once had a former colleague who came to me regularly to complain about work. At first, I believed she simply needed to express her frustration, so I listened patiently. I even took the time to offer practical suggestions, steps she could take to improve her situation. But despite my efforts, every conversation would circle back to the same old complaints. Over time, it became clear she didn't want change. She wanted validation. Eventually, I decided to confront the cycle. I said, I care about you and value our relationship. But if we keep revisiting the same problems without any real steps forward, it's only draining us both. If you truly want to improve things, I'm here for you. But that journey has to begin with you." She didn't take it well, but deep down I knew I had made the right call. Listening is one of the greatest gifts you can offer someone. But it's not meant to be a one-way street. True friendship is about progress, not just presence. If someone continuously rejects advice, disregards your emotional bandwidth, and insists on dwelling in the same pain without seeking healing, it may be time to reassess your role in their story. Being kind doesn't mean being endlessly accommodating. It means having the courage to say what needs to be said, even when it's uncomfortable. Because kindness that enables stagnation isn't kindness, it's quiet surrender. 9th, avoid people who boast excessively. We've all met someone who constantly revisits their past glories. They recount awards, accolades, titles, painting, vivid pictures of who they used to be. At first, these tales might seem inspiring, but over time you begin to notice something deeper. They're stuck. Their past has become their only identity. And instead of building something new, they're clinging to memories like a lifeline. I knew a man once, charming, successful, and sharp, but every conversation with him eventually turned into a story about the awards he won a decade ago. If you asked about his current goals, he would shift the subject or speak vaguely. It became clear. His pride in the past masked an emptiness in the present. Instead of admiration, people started distancing themselves. The constant boasting didn't uplift. It alienated. Boasting isn't a celebration of achievement. It's often a shield against insecurity, and it builds walls instead of bridges. The Stoics teach us that the present moment is all we truly possess. A confident person doesn't need to announce their worth. They live it. They show it in how they treat others, in how they evolve, and in how they contribute now, not just in what they did before. Let your life today speak louder than your past ever could. Be the kind of person whose humility inspires, whose authenticity resonates, and whose presence brings comfort. As the old saying goes, silence is golden. And those who embody that silence with grace are often the most deeply respected. Final reflection, a Stoic path to peace and inner strength. As we near the end of this deeply introspective journey, we find ourselves not merely reflecting on 9 red flags, but awakening to something greater, a sacred call to self-respect, discernment, and the Stoic path of inner peace. We began by exploring those who refuse to invest in us, emotionally, spiritually, or even financially, while still expecting us to pour endlessly into them. These people may wear the mask of modesty, but their actions reveal a pattern of taking without giving. When someone repeatedly shows you they value their indulgences more than your presence, the silence between you grows heavy with truth. A truth the Stoics knew well. If one does not act with fairness, one must be met with boundaries, not guilt. Next came the quarrelers, those who thrive on conflict, feeding on drama like fire feeds on oxygen. To them, every discussion is a battlefield. But a wise heart does not argue with noise. It protects its peace like a flame in the wind. Stoicism teaches us that calm is strength, and restraint is power. When the volume rises and the tension swells, the real test is not whether you can shout louder, but whether you can walk away, in silence, unshaken, unmoved. Then we met those who dismiss pain, who diminish your worries by inflating their own. It's the sting of sharing your struggle only to be met with, "That's nothing. Let me tell you about my day." True friendship is never a competition of wounds. It is a sanctuary where pain is received with softness, not skepticism. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. But kindness must flow both ways." The 4th sign struck at the heart of our values, the people who force their beliefs, refusing to accept difference. True wisdom lies not in convincing others, but in understanding them. It is not the sword, love ideology that heals relationships, but the balm of mutual respect. The Stoics didn't argue to win, they listened to learn. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from a conversation that wounds instead of bridges. We moved next to those who leave us with knots in our stomachs, the friends whose presence once felt like sunlight, but now feels like shade. Time changes us, and sometimes love means letting go. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's way of making room for something new, even when it hurts. Then came the emotional dumpers, the ones who visit not to connect but to unload. Their sadness, while valid, becomes a storm we never asked to stand in. To be compassionate does not mean to be consumed. True empathy includes yourself. If someone only sees you as a place to empty their burdens, you are not a friend in their eyes, only a bin. And bins, once full, must be emptied or broken. We learned about broken promises, not just forgotten plans, but forgotten respect. When someone repeatedly promises and fails, they aren't just disorganized, they are displacing your worth. A promise is a sacred vow, a reflection of character. When a person breaks them casually, you must remember their unreliability is not a reflection of your importance, but their lack of discipline. We examine those who talk endlessly about the same worries but never act. They seek sympathy, not solutions. And while it's noble to be a listening ear, it's wiser to ask, is this helping either of us grow? As Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Let that be the measure of your support. Does it lead to action or just endless circles of sorrow? And lastly, we saw the danger of boastfulness, those who live in the past because the present brings them no glory. But greatness isn't what you did 5 years ago. It's how you treat people today. Stoics were not known for self-praise. They were known for self-mastery. It is the quiet man, anchored in humility, whose presence speaks louder than any trophy. So what do we take from this? That all relationships are mirrors. Some reflect our best selves, others distort us until we forget who we are. The Stoic path is not one of cold detachment, but of disciplined compassion. It is choosing who gets access to your soul, who earns the privilege of your time, and who must be loved from a distance. Cutting ties with those who harm you, whether subtly or overtly, is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is honoring the sacred within you. Your peace is not selfish. Your joy is not negotiable. And your worth is not measured by how much you endure for others. To all who've walked this journey with me, take a moment, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, what relationships nurture your soul? Which ones erode your peace? And which ones deserve a chapter in your past, but not a place in your future? Choose wisely, because your life, your energy, and your legacy are too precious to be wasted on what no longer serves you. As we close, I invite you to carry this message not just in your thoughts, but in your actions. Set boundaries, honor your intuition, and above all, live aligned with your nature, not in reaction to others, but in reflection of your inner truth. Thank you for being here. If this video spoke to your heart, I invite you to join our growing community. If this video resonated with you, give it a like and share it with someone who may need this message. Comment clarity below if you're ready to choose peace over pressure and self-mastery over sacrifice. You were not born to suffer for others. You were born to rise steadily, wisely, and free. Hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment sharing your story, your struggles, your triumphs, your growth. Or simply write peacefulness to let us know you've completed this journey. And remember, growth is a continuous path. I've placed 2 more videos here for you to explore, each one another step toward wisdom, self-respect, and the Stoic way of living. Thank you for walking this path with us. I'll see you in the next video.